Alright guys, we got I found a leak under this vehicle, and it's a Toyota, and I seen it was coming from the power steering. I knew it was power steering because the power steering fluid was low. I had already thrown some leak dye in the engine itself, and yeah, it's not leaking. I already changed valve cover, oil pan, everything. There was a little leak off of the valve cover, oil pan, and everything else. It is leaking from the power steering. This is not the vehicle that you've seen in the other. This is not the same vehicle that I used for the other power steering leak. I still got to fix that. And I got tons of videos coming up, guys. I'm telling you, I deny work all day, every day. I deny. If I want, I could do this every single day, all day, every day. I could do it. So, I mean, I'm doing this because I want to do it. I'm gonna take the work if I want to take the work. I'm just letting you know. And what I do have coming up, I got a couple of timing belts, Toyota Sienna. I got a Mitsubishi Galant coming up, Honda Civic. I mean, all kinds of different vehicles. I mean, like I said, I deny vehicles because I don't have the time, but I could bust them out if I wanted to. And I have, like I said, in the last year, I've busted out, 6 or 7. I could have done more than that. This is just friends and family. All these other people, I just let them go, have them go somewhere else. This one, and what I'm noticing right there, that belt looks like it has like a little bit of a crack in it. I'm gonna have to order a belt for that. So obviously, like, I got all this light right here. You still can't see anything. I'm gonna turn the light off. I got my black light. It's going to be completely dark in here, and I'll show you what it looks like in here. I ran it for about 2 days like this. I'm going to turn this light off first. This light's going off. This other light's going off, and then we're going to take a look at where it's leaking from. I already know where it's leaking from. I'm just going to show you guys what it looks like. Like I said, I threw it in the reservoir. I drove it around for a couple of days. And then, we're just going to check out where the leak is. I already know where the leak is, but I just want to show you how, invaluable that UV dye stuff is. Just to let you know, it is leaking from the power steering pump itself, and it is leaking from the pressure hose. That's where it's leaking from. I'm going to show you, though. So it's going to get dark here, and we're going to just use the UV. It's going to get completely dark right here. And we're going to throw the... Now, let me take this off. And you can see how the dye makes it look. So I'm gonna focus on. You'll see it back here. And the reason I'm doing this one is because I have not seen. Let me try to get you in there. It's really hard to get you in there. I haven't seen a lot of videos really on that. There you go, watch. Check this one out. Let it focus. Let it focus. It's glowing bright to me. I don't know if you can see it. I mean, it's glowing bright green in real life. And if you don't know, power steering produces a lot of pressure, and that is the pressure hose. And the other part of the pressure hose is right there, and also right there it's glowing bright green. Like I said, it's hard to tell, but I mean right there coming out of that hose. So that's just a crimped, and this has a lot of miles on it. And also down by the pulley itself, it's really hard to get you in here. It's hard to get the light. Down by the pulley itself, you can see it bright green too. Right there. I can actually see the oil coming out of there. In real life, you can see it looks green. So there's no guessing here. I see where it's coming from. Turn my black light off. So, just to give you an idea, I woke up at, for the people that talk bad about me making videos and being tired and making mistakes or whatever, I woke up at 4 o'clock in the morning. It's 8:15 right now, and I'm starting this job. I'm gonna spend an hour and a half, and then so what I'm gonna do, this power steering pump, I could have got this online for $83. It comes with, I've got my tripod right with me right now. Everything down. So this one's remanufactured. It's $103. Comes with these, the O-ring, and this pulley. If you notice on this pulley, it's not the type that you usually see. And what we're going to do is, since it comes with the new pulley, we'll take off the old. Once we take off the old power steering pump, we're gonna figure out how to take off that pulley. I'm sure I got something to pull that off, pretty sure, but it's not like the average everyday pulley that you have use that regular power steering pulley. So this looks like it's it. I'm gonna bust this open. I'm gonna take a look. To gain more access, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna remove this. I'm gonna remove this. They look like 14 millimeter, 14 millimeter, 14 millimeter. I'm probably gonna remove this support right here. I'm gonna remove that. I'm gonna remove that. Go on the other side, remove that right there. I'm gonna take off the tire. I'm gonna take off the tire. I'm gonna take off the splash shield. I'm gonna take off the belt, which I believe it's that bolt right there. Probably looks like a, I don't know, it looks pretty big, maybe 17 millimeter right there. Looks like I go clockwise with that right there. But to gain more access, I'm gonna take off this support, and when I support it, I'm gonna get up under the engine with a after I take off the tire, put the car on jack stands. I'm gonna take it off, support it, put the car on jack stands on this end, take off the tire, and then I'm gonna put the jack under the vehicle with a piece of wood in between, and I'm gonna support it, and then I'm gonna remove all this stuff to get more access to it. Once I'm down there, I'm gonna take off the splash shield. I'll go up and down accordingly depending on what I gotta do. I'm also remove that. I've never seen it done before. I've never done it before, so I mean, I do this all the time, and I just remove whatever's in my way. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna remove this. I'm gonna remove this. Take that off. I'm gonna remove these two right here. I'm probably removing too much stuff. I probably don't need to remove all this stuff, but I'm going to anyways. And I'm gonna replace that power steering pump, and I'm gonna try to document it as much as I can. But I think more or less, I mean, you see, I'll take this apart and I'll be able to see exactly where the bolts are going and everything. I believe it's accessed through the back. The bolts right there and right there, they're accessed through the back. You can probably access through them front. I think they're accessed through the back though. That's why I'm going to remove off this strut tower or whatever it's called. And yeah, let's get started. This is just the first part of this. All right, let's get started. So here's further proof of what I already knew. You see there's quite a bit of oil leaking down there. I mean, quite a bit. Get all over the place. See it coming from up there too. So Turn off the light. Take a look. See some of the looks green right here. So anyways, that just verifies, and it looks like we're going to access the bolts from between here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to loosen the motor mount. I'm going to loosen the motor mount, and then I'm going to loosen the motor mount, lower the engine just a little bit. I'll be able to access those a little bit better. I'm going to take off the splash shield right here. 10mm. One right there. One right there. Looks like one's missing right there. Let me do that. So just want to show you real quick how to take off the serpentine belt for a Toyota Camry. And this is from 2002, 2006, I believe. It's probably similar to the other one. I got to change the belt for a newer one. But power steering, crank, AC, water pump, idler, there's an alternator, and right here this bolt, you put a 16mm. Usually it's not 16mm, but in this case it is. Good lighting in here. It's that bolt right there. Right above the, it's easiest to get it right here. Flat socket. You want to turn it clockwise. Just clockwise. There. When it leaves tension, pull it off. Pull off, pulley. There you go. And that's it. And in case you didn't see the way it's on, that's how it is. Just like that. Let's start on the crank, go up here, around the power steering, up, down around the water pump, across the AC. Push it clockwise, this bolt right here, and that's it. It comes off. Let's pull her out. Not too bad. And we got that facing towards us. The way it was like that. So let's move this out the way. Actually, we'll put it up here with all the other stuff. Previous owner put the wrong bolt. Can't move this out of the way. They put the wrong bolt right here. They just cross-threaded it. Put the wrong bolt. Couldn't take it off. Cross-threaded it. If I don't need to remove it, I'm not going to remove it. Might just move this, go in there with a ratcheting wrench. I don't really need to take that off. That bracket. Show you where we are. Got this stuff out of the way. This is why I got out of the way, so I can access back here. Right there. on the top. On the top of the power steering pump, that's a 17mm. I loosen that. It's right on the top of the power steering pump. And this is what this hose connects to. So it's draining all out of here, you can see that. I'm gonna just let it all drain out. Like I said, that's a 17mm. So it's coming out now. So I'm gonna drain that. And this is a 12mm, that one right there. I'm gonna disconnect that one. And that's just for the return line. So I'm gonna pull those off. Those will be out of my way. I got this out of my way, which was just a, was it a 12mm, 18mm, I believe. These are just the ones I pulled off. Well, let me make sure what size it is. Let's see. I got a 19 right here. That one's a 19 for the top of that one. That's a 19. And the one that's on top of here is probably the 17. Yep. No. Yeah, 17. And this one right here is probably just a 12 or 14. 14. So this one right here was going in through right here. And it just gives me a little bit of extra access. Hopefully I can access the bolts. I think the bolts are coming in from the back side that I need to relieve. That I need to take off from the back here. Let me cut this off. I'll cut this off, get this out of my way. Maybe take this off. Get anything out of my way. I'll probably take this off too. Take this, 10mm, cut this, get this out of my way, and then I'll have access to the bolts that are back there. Let's try to get you back there. Let's see. That's the bolt I'm taking off. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna finish taking off. Once it drains out, I'm gonna take this off. I'm gonna finish disconnecting this hose right here, and then get this hose out of my way. Remove this, get this out of my way. I'm sure there's an easier way to do it. And then it's hard to see where the bolt is. There's a bolt right on the back. Whatever I gotta take out of my way, I'm gonna take out of my way. If I gotta take this out of my way, I'll take this out of my way. Anything I gotta take out of my way, I'll take out of my way. And then I'll just get them bolts back there. There it is right there. You can see the bolt. It's right on the back. Let me take those off. I'll let you know what I'm using. So I'm looking at this, and I notice this is what I just took off right here, which was a 12mm. And then so I see what bolts I got to remove. We got 1, 2, 3. I believe they're 12mm. I believe they're accessed through the back here. And so that's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna go over there, I'm gonna break them loose with a wrench, and then I'm gonna use a small ratcheting wrench. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna see if they're 12mm. Break it loose, and pull them out. That's what I'm gonna do. So this part, you can see the one right there, the bolt. The bolt that is right. Let's see where it is. Right there. That's the one right there. That one right there is the same. It's the same as. So that's the bottom, what we're looking at. we're looking at that bolt right there. Pop that one off, that one off, that one off. Looks like it's pretty hard to get to, but we'll do it no matter what it takes. Alright, let's get to it. So, I got it off finally. This was a little bit harder than I thought it would be, to be honest with you. This one doesn't come all the way out. There's only two actually holding it. There's places for, you may think there's three, because if you look at the back, but there's actually only two. There's this one and this one. And this one can't come out. And they're 14mm. I went in there with the, I just used this 14mm to get in there. I actually broke it loose with a wrench from the top. Broke it loose, came out a little bit. Then I went in there with this semi-deep, and looks like I broke this switch, power steering pressure switch. I'm gonna have to get another one of those. It's not a sensor, it's a switch. Yeah, definitely harder than I thought it was. I was prying on it. I actually got blood on my elbow because I hit right here. I was prying with the pry bar. So I'm gonna have to switch over the I'm going to have to get another switch because I broke this switch. I could probably still use this, but I'll get another one. It's just broken. Another power steering pressure switch. I don't know if AutoZone would have something like that. I'm gonna have to switch that over here, and that's about it. Finished taking this bolt out. So the thing was, though, I thought there was another bolt, which was 3 because I was looking at this one. So I thought there was like 1, 2, and 3. So I was looking for the other one, but I figured I got the one from the bottom off, which is so it's like this facing down right here. So I got this one off. This one right here, I got this one off. This one was a little bit harder to get to. I got it from a wrench right here, got it. Turned this, went in there with the semi-deep, finished taking it off. It wasn't coming off. I thought maybe this was because it couldn't come off. I lowered the engine, I raised the engine, I lowered the engine. It wouldn't come off, and I was hitting it with the pry bar. Then I actually bloodied my elbow, which I'm pretty pissed off about. I don't even know where I hit. Hit something sharp right here. Anyways, so let me see. What I did have to end up doing is the motor mount that's on the other side. 2 14mm and a 17mm. I had to take that off, which you can see the motor mount over there. So there's 1 from the top, 3 from the bottom, just so I could raise and lower the engine enough. And so let me see if I can show you. So if you look, let me see. Let's get this in here. Boy, oh boy. So it's just right here. Man. See, this is where I get to cussing right here, man. That's where I start getting pissed off. But I'm not going to. Not going to. That one right here, and that one right here. So it's just those two. You can see though on the other bracket that it's not there. Now what I'm gonna have to do, when I was prying on it wasn't coming off, if you notice these right here, this piece and this piece, they pull it to tighten it. When you tighten that nut, it pulls this thing out to tighten it perfectly. Well, what I'm gonna have to do is come in here and I'm gonna clean this off so it can move back, and either hit it back in with a hammer or get some vice grips and collapse it back in there in order to get the new one in, or else it's gonna give me a big pain in the butt. And here's the piece of the sensor that it's not a sensor, it's a switch, but I was pushing down on here and pulling, I was wiggling, and it just snapped off. Old plastic. Oh well, I'll just get another power steering pressure switch. That's what they should have it labeled under. Anyways, got it off. I went from the top and I pried that way, pushing off that way. I was coming down here and pushing off this way, but it wasn't happening. I slipped and I hit my elbow, which I'm kind of pissed off about. That's okay. So I went from the top, I went under this side with the pry bar and I pushed it off and it popped right off. So it's 2 bolts, not 3. And you do have to take off that. You can see the motor mount that's sitting over there, 17mm from the top, 14mm, 3 14mm from the bottom. You're going to need a small extension, about 1.5 inch extension, in order to get into the frame, or the unibody, or the subframe, or whatever. Anyways, I'm going to have to push these back in, just like this pulls this out in order to squeeze it in, so I'm going to have to push those back in to get the new one in. So, I'm going to make it a 2-part. This is just going to be the removal. This is kind of a pain in the ass, man. I thought I was going to have this done by tonight, but I'm ready to go get some shut-eye. Alright guys, thanks for watching. Comment, rate, and subscribe. Alright, so the 2 bolts, they're messed up. And so what I did was I found the size that worked. It's 10 by 125. So we got 10 by 125. This kit right here, this is a thread restore kit. I just make sure it's the same, and it is. Just make sure. I'm in the metric area over there. You can see there's metric, and then that's fine, UNF. Doesn't say UNF, but that's what it is. Fine thread and then coarse thread. But since this is a Japanese vehicle, I know it's metric, and I just find the size that I need for this, and these were all messed up. So what I do is I just get one of these, the one that fits right here. I actually ended up breaking it right now, which is you know, it is what it is. But I'm just showing you how I restored the threads. And what I'll do is I'll just replace that. I can replace that by itself. And so you get one of these, the one that works. You just shove it up in here like so. But this is not the correct one, but I did use the correct one. Make sure it fits in there properly. Start it off by hand, and then you can just use this. Go all the way down with it till you bottom all the way out, and I just get the impact, and with the impact up and down, up and down, up and down, just to clean off the thread. So now it fits in there perfectly. And then also what I did is, so that's what you use in order to fix this, which I did. That goes back over there. It actually says what it is. This, in this case, says M12 by 1.5. That is not the one I used. Like I said, I just broke that one after already finishing the job that I needed to do, which is a good thing. But this is 10 by 125. So you see it on the number right here. M10. Let's see if I can get it. M10 by 1.25. M10 by 1.25. Anyways, so these were, I don't want any problems when I'm putting it back. I want to make sure. So what happens is if I take it off and it doesn't line up properly when I'm trying to put it back, it might even get worse and more cross-threaded, and then it just won't hold in there tightly. So I just want to show you basically what I did. Also, in order to push in, let's see if I can get the get all this stuff in here. I'm going to show you what I did to get the threads fixed. Also, on, let's see, got the hammer. Give me 1 second. Take you over there. Show you exactly what's going on. Stuff in my way. So basically, the threads were messed up. This is half the time you know you're a decent mechanic when you're fixing everybody else's mistakes. So up there, the bolt itself, I could see that it was all messed up. So if the bolt itself, the threads are all messed up, if you know the threads are all messed up, I restored this first using the technique that I showed you. That's not a tap and die set, that's a thread restoring kit. And let me see, so I make sure I get the size that I need. And what I did, well, first of all, these were popping out a small amount. So what I did to get those, and I did not mess up the threads on this. So I'm just showing you what I did in order to. So I put this almost all the way in. Okay, so what my goal is to push that back in. Hold on. My goal is to push this back in. You can see I was trying to use some pliers, and that wasn't working so great. So what I did was, first I restored the threads on the bolt. Secondly, I restored the threads on that by getting in here. I oiled it up real good, got it in there, used a ratcheting wrench to go all the way in, all the way out, all the way in, all the way out, all the way in, all the way out. I did it also on the top like that. And what I did was, I got myself a punch. See how this isn't bottomed out really? And you could take off this washer. So just, you could take off this washer, start this off, come over here with this punch, and with this punch, I whack the punch right here. And I whack it right there, and it pushed these back in. To push those back in, and I put the new pump up there, and it fits in there perfectly. There's no drag or nothing. So I just did that with both top and bottom in order to punch these back in, because if you don't punch these back in, then you're gonna have lots of drag when you're trying to put that new pump in. Not to mention these cross-threaded bolts and cross-threaded nuts. They're going to give you lots of problem too if you end up lining it up improperly. So you can see they just slide in there no problem now. It goes in there. You just start them all by hand. That's it. So I cleaned out the top, I cleaned out the bottom. I ended up breaking my the die though. So I'm going to have to replace that. That's no problem. So when I get to putting everything back, the reason I haven't put it back yet is because I'm waiting for the hose. The hose is going to be coming in. But I thought this was a good example of if you take this to a shop who pays their employees by flat rate, I can guarantee they really ain't going to be doing stuff like this, because this takes me half an hour to get in there, to clean out the threads, to get these new bolts, clean out threads. They might grab some new bolts if they're at a good shop. I mean, if you're at a good shop and they have hardware, they might grab some new bolts. But most time they're trying to get the job done. And that's really why I don't trust anybody to work on any of my stuff. And I've seen it firsthand, you know, people doing. They just don't go above and beyond, you know. That's why even if you have money to spend on, you know, people to pay for your own vehicles, it pays off to work on your own stuff, because they just don't go above and beyond. And if it's a vehicle you care about, you know you will, especially if you have the tools. That kit, that thread restoring kit, that's about a $90 kit right there. I'm gonna have to replace the 10x125. I ended up messing it up, but I had already finished restoring the threads. I just tightened it too tight and pressing it, and ended up bending it a little bit. But I'll just go to the store and swap it out or something, because this has a lifetime warranty. I don't want to switch out the whole kit. I'll just switch out that one piece. So if you have messed up threads, this is the kit to have. It's a thread restore. It's not a tap and die. It's kind of expensive, but you can rent it from the auto parts store. Matter of fact, I'll give you the part. Actually, let me see a part number right there. OEM 27142. That's the thread restore kit. You can rent this from AutoZone, depending on where you live. You could probably rent it from a lot of other places. So the good thing though, because they rent this, right? I can go give them one of these and show them that it's broken, and they'll probably just return that set and get a whole new set or something. I don't want to return the whole new set. I just want to replace that piece right there, and use oil when you're doing it. But I just want to show you guys the progress. Believe it or not, this is just one day's worth of, nobody's in a rush at this point. And that's really the best case scenario, because when you're in a rush and you don't have extra bolts and you don't have the thread restoring kit, you just throw them threads back in there, ruining threads even more. So I just wanted to show you what I do in instances where threads are messed up. Chasing threads. Thanks for watching. We should have all the parts we need in about a day or two, and then we'll pop everything else back, and we'll do another video on I don't know, something else. We'll move on. Thanks for watching. But main thing though is I wanted to show you what I used to hit those in also, and because it's kind of hard to get in there, and the pliers weren't the pliers weren't working. I was trying to get up in there and push those in. You got to do that, because if you don't do that, the new pump isn't going in there properly. So I just saved myself a ton of headache by going in there and pushing those in using the method that I showed you, and then also cleaning up the threads on both the nuts and the bolts. Everything will go back. And I did end up damaging the head of this a little bit. I took it to the grinder, ground it down, make sure my socket fits on there properly, and that's all there is to that. So it's a 10x125 is what it is, which is a couple of inches long, probably 4.5 inches long or so, or what, 65, 75 centimeters, millimeters, centimeters. All right. Thanks for watching, guys. Comment, rate, subscribe. Alright, so this line, you can see that's the new hose right there. The line goes to the bottom, so that's the new hose. And the line goes to the bottom of the rack and pinion. And on the original hose, it's a 17mm. To take that off, 17mm, I just use the open-end wrench, and I have all the other different tools you can use. I have the flare nut wrenches. I just use the open end wrench. It's actually the snap-on flank drive. So I don't know if that makes a difference. I believe that's a 10mm. And I believe actually was a 12mm. I think I lost it and I put another one, which is a 10x125. So that was a 12mm headed bolt. I lost it, flew off somewhere. So I just used one of these that I have. So that was 10mm. That was a 12mm. Now it's a 10mm because I replaced it. It just has those little rubber gaskets in between. So this top piece right here and the bottom piece is connected by this. Connected by that bolt. It holds them together, and this is connected to the frame. Right here, this bolt, and it just sandwiches in between. And that was actually one of the difficult parts to do. When you take off that nut right there, I was thinking about moving the top nut off, but I didn't want to do all of that. slow process. So it was 17 millimeter to take off the nut. You know, the fitting right there, the one on the bottom, you can see the new one. And mind you, the hose that it came with the O-ring, but the O-ring was not on the hose itself, so you're gonna have to make sure and put that O-ring on there or you're gonna have a leak. So anyways, so the new hose though was a 16 millimeter, 16, yeah, 16. So the hose to take off was a 17, but the one to put on was a 16. So keep that in mind. And so break that loose first, just break it loose, and then take these off. 10 millimeter, 12 millimeter, was 12 millimeter, and loosen that. And there's another one over there, and then the hose will come right off. And yeah, don't get it confused. It's a little bit difficult to do. So, to be honest with you, I don't know, man. For a do-it-yourselfer, you got to be a pretty good do-it-yourselfer. Because, I mean, it really hasn't been too bad, honestly. But, I mean, it took way more time than I really thought it would. So, let's see what I can say about this. Also, this right here has an O-ring on this piece. I replaced the O-ring. This bolt right here, I keep my bolts nice and organized. I don't know if you can see this right here, but I keep my bolts in order on magnets. I've known plenty of people that just throw them all in a bucket. But I take them off, I put them in a row, and I put them back exactly the same way. So I keep my nuts, bolts, nice and organized. I don't know. Maybe I'm slow. I'm not good enough to do it like other people do it. But that's the only one that fits on there. So, don't get that messed up. So, when you're putting this power steering pump back, though, the top bolt, before you put the pump on, so this is not connected yet, you're going to put the pump on there, and if you've seen in my other previous video, I had already cleaned up all the threads and everything. I put the pump up there. When I put the pump in there, the top bolt is already there, because once you put the pump in, you cannot put a bolt in there. It's impossible. You cannot do it. And it has to beat the bolt that came out. If you're trying to use another bolt, it's not going to work. It's just a little too fat. If you try to go to hardware store and get another bolt, because I had another bolt I was trying to use, because I was trying to use a brand new bolt, because one of them I just didn't like the way, even though I cleaned up the threads, it just wasn't that great. And I tried to use another bolt, and on the top right here to push it in the side, it just wouldn't work. I could get in through here because I don't have to push it into the side. I could just drive it straight in through. But on this top one, so on the top one right here, before you put the pump in, you have to put that bolt in. Put the bolt in, put the pump in like that. But this lower one, you could just put the bolt in. However you can fit it in like this. And then I put it up in there, started off by hand, and that's really the reason I wanted to start the threads off, clean up the threads, because you know, you're starting this off by hand, and if they're all cross-threaded, it ain't happening. So I just used the semi-deep for both to tighten them down. I started them off by hand, one finger up here, one finger down there, started it off. So like I said, one finger down here, one finger up here, started off, and the same up there, started off. And up there, I started off with the wrench, 14 millimeter, up through the top, started it off. And you don't want to tighten either one down before you finish. You don't want to finish tighten all the way down one before you start both of them off. You want to start both of them off where the threads are starting to catch. I mean, a good deal bit before they're catching. And then I came in here, right here, with the semi-deep, started it off, tightened it down just a little bit, and then I just went up right here with the semi-deep, and I caught right here. Here it is, I could feel it. And I finished off with the semi-deep. But if it's pulled all the way out, you really can't put the semi-deep in there. And I use semi-deep because deep is just a little too long, and shallow is just a little too short. Like I said, that's why in one of my videos I made my own tools. So it's in there nice and tight now. As far as a job for a do-it-yourselfer, this would be on the level of a real do-it-yourselfer. I'm talking about a real do-it-yourselfer. If you're not a real do-it-yourselfer, if you're somebody who has a little teeny toolbox the size of a freaking cat litter box, don't do it. It's just too hard. It's not too hard for me, but it takes a lot of time. I could pretty much do everything anyone else can do, but how much money you want to throw at it, how much money you want to, you know, spend. I mean, like, let's say welding. I could take it to a shop and have something welded for $20, or I could go buy a $5,000 welder. You know, it's just cheaper just to take it to a shop. I think if you're just a do-it-yourselfer that's just really barely interested in doing it yourself, I'll take it to a shop, to be honest with you. Independent shop, something good. So I just hooked up this hose. I'm gonna hook up the other hose. After I hook up that hose, I'm gonna lift the engine a little bit right here. I'm just gonna lift it. Put that back. There's 3 14 millimeters. 1, 2, 3 14 millimeters from the bottom, and 1 17 millimeter from the top. And do that, and then I'm just gonna put this back. Put this, there's a bracket that goes here, I'm gonna put that back, which is 18 millimeter and a 14 millimeter. You can see where the bolt goes right here. And then, actually before I do that, I'll probably just put the belt back. It'll be easier to put the belt back without having this bracket here. And then I'll put this back, and then yeah. So as far as, believe it or not, I mean, in some cars doing the power steering pump is pretty easy. In this car, it's pretty difficult. You know, if you don't have, you got to be a good do-it-yourselfer to do this. If you're a do-it-yourselfer and you're coming home at night, you're probably not going to do it in one night. If I would say, for me, if I had all the parts in one day, I definitely could do it in one night. It would take me about 4 or 5 hours. So that's what you're looking at. You're looking at having all the tools you need, all the parts you need, 4 or 5 hours. At least, minimum 4 or 5 hours. So if you think you're coming home and you think you're going to spend 2 hours doing this, it ain't going to happen. Anyways. So, I'm going to hook everything up. I'm going to refill this, and I'm going to put all this stuff back. All this stuff is just, it's nothing. You know, it's just the same way I took it apart. I'm going to put it right back together. And like I said, this is the way I keep my nuts and bolts, though. I keep them in complete order. The way I take it off, I start here. Actually, this is where I started. Start here, take it off, take it off, take it off, take it off. Actually, I started there, I think. Take it off, take it off, take it off. And I just, when I'm putting it back, I just complete it. And you know you got a problem when you have an extra bolt right there. If you have an extra bolt, then, you know, you missed something, you know? So, I just use these. These things are just $2 from Harbor Freight. This is what I use. I see these guys throw all the nuts and bolts in a bucket. I can't do it. Maybe they're smarter than me, but I can't do it. I just can't do it. I cannot do it. I just, like I said, maybe they're smarter than me. I don't know. So, on a scale of 1 to 10, it's like a 6 or a 7. For do-it-yourselfer is probably like a 9 though. It's harder than I thought it was. Once I had all the parts though, I mean, I could have this done in about 4 hours, I would say. But, you know, you gotta have all the tools you need. Thanks for watching. Comment, rate, and subscribe. So, after the oil leak, we're sitting here. This car has been sitting here for half an hour. What you want to do is move it out the way of where you were doing the work. Let it run, let it get nice and warm, run it for half an hour. You don't have a single drip or drop. And in my opinion, you got a nice clean spot, not a single drip or drop, that's it. That's finale. You don't have a leak. Now you can have a smaller leak than this, obviously. But if it's been sitting here idling in half an hour, and you don't have a single drip or drop, then the oil leak ain't worth focusing on. Nothing. It's the same thing with somebody. If somebody brings you a car, and you let it sit here and idle for more than half an hour, and you don't see single drip or drop, well then your customer's crazy. I met a couple of those in my time. Nothing. Thanks for watching. Comment, rate, subscribe.